Yeah, it's one of these things. Also, this is why it's very important to be liquid. And what I said before, and this is one thing that Grant Cardone said that I agree with. Not that I agree with a lot of stuff that he
I
says.
agree with a lot he says,
Some stuff he doesn't. I don't agree with. But a lot of people are putting themselves in tremendous financial strain to buy a home. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing is like liquidating their savings, liquidating their 401k, liquidating all their investments. And it's like now you have a home, but you're like one accident away from being homeless because now you're living paycheck to paycheck just to pay that mortgage. Mm-hmm. So this is a lot of times where shout out to MG, the mortgage guy on the super chat. But what he spoke about as far as house hacking, sacrificing, not necessarily getting your dream home right away. Maybe getting a multifamily home first to have positive cash flow, and then using that to scale up to having your dream home. By the time you get your dream home, you have 6 units or 10 units that's actually paying you monthly income, that's actually providing you with the mortgage for your single family home. So this home conversation is something that we got to have at some point, because a lot of people are putting themselves in deep financial holes. And they're not liquid. They're not liquid at all. They have no liquid. Mm-hmm. All of their asset is tied up in their house. And it's like, unless you're going to refinance or get a HELOC, shout out to Kenny Burns, spoke about that on his show, you're going to be in a deep financial burden if you ever need money. Yeah. So,
and the HELOC situation, and we spoke about this before. At any point, the bank could say, we're not granting HELOCs right now. Mm-hmm. Right? That literally happened. Like I went to the bank pre-COVID in January, and by April it was like, no, we're not doing this. June it was the same thing. So I mean, to even say that is a tool you're going to rely on, it could be there or it might not be there.
And a HELOC, for anybody that doesn't know what that is a home equity line of credit. So that's you taking a line of credit against your home, similar to like a business line of credit, but they're using the equity in your home. Something that a lot of people are they don't even know what a HELOC is. So definitely tap in with Matt and all of the other real estate professionals if you need some more information on that. But yeah, these are
Matt is a guy we trust though, and you guys know I endorse.
That's a fact.
I rock with Matt.
Yeah, for sure,
absolutely,
for sure. But yeah, I just say that to say that I think it's very, very important to stay liquid. And liquid doesn't mean that it just has to be in savings. Like, just liquid, you're able to get to it. It could be in stocks. It could be in a money market. It could be in a variety of different things. But it's like you have the ability to actually access the money. Yeah. Whereas if it's illiquid, that means that you can't access it. It's going to take a long time, or you might not have access to it. So this is like if you have it, if all your wealth is tied up in real estate, right? So there's pros and cons with everything, but that's very, very important to keep in mind.
And one of the conversations when we were talking about the different levels of wealth, we had it like 2 years ago with Derek Ferguson, and he put it in like simple context. He's like, we think millions of dollars is a lot of money, right? Because we see athletes, they get $10 million contracts or they get $30 million contracts, and they live a lifestyle that seems like they can afford it. But he was like, look, the guy who's making $30 million a year, I think he used Steph since we in the Bay. He used Steph as the example. He's like, he's making $30 million a year, and that sounds incredible. But the guy who owns the building makes $1 billion a year, right? And so when Steph travels in private planes and he's right, it feels like this guy is super wealthy. But the guy who makes $1 billion a year, he's going to continuously make that. There's no expiration on his career. And I'm sure Steph's and I'm only using Steph as an example because that was his salary. And hopefully he's made good investments. And from the looks of his portfolio, some things we've seen, he's made some really solid ones. But not everybody's Steph Curry, and everybody's not making 3. So the guy that makes 10, they're living the lifestyle, right? They're buying a home. They're forgetting about the taxes that they got to pay on it. They're making terrible investments. It feels like you're making a lot. And when Mark Cuban told us, like, if you got $1 million, you're on eggshells. I wrote that down. I'm like,
it hits different.
It hits different.
Like, I want you guys to realize this: when people of Cubans and Novogratz status comes on and gives information or gems to the culture when they don't have to, because Mark Cuban hasn't done any black media since then. There is a reason why they're sharing that information, and opposed to fighting it, you have to cherish it. When it bothers you on the inside, you have to realize, like I had to realize early in my entrepreneurship career, a lot of things that you were told you have to unlearn and realize that you were lied to. Even with all the artists. Put this in chat. I want you to focus on liquidity over trinkets. Even with housing, the goal is to get a house. It's not free and clear. You have a mortgage for 30 years if you're aggressive 15, but at the end of the day, what do you get to show for it? It's no different when artists will have a plaque and be like, hey, I went platinum. How many of our favorite artists went platinum and then end up dying or not dying and living a long time and not having the money that they need? Like Tupac is my favorite artist. And after All Eyes on Me came out, a year later, he was due $29 million. You realize if Pac was able to get $15 million of that money and put it into any of the ones that I love, let's just say Microsoft, that would be worth probably $90 or $115 million. And even though his mom passed, the next 15 or 20 generations will be taken care of. But it's like, get a house, get a car, get some jewelry, a couple of vacations. That's not the American dream. That's the American dream that is sold to the middle class. You notice those that are well-to-do never focus on those things. Please be aware. But you can do whatever you want to do.
Yes.
Yeah. That made me just think of my favorite player when you said that. My favorite player is Scottie Pippen. There was an infamous story of him buying a plane and living like Mike, but not having the same salary. And then, like, I think last year or something, he ended up selling his NBA championship rings. And I'm just like, damn, it's come to that.
Shout out to Scottie.
Yeah, Scottie's a legend.